Welcome, everyone. Happy 2026. Welcome to our first episode of Pretend Samosa in 2026. We're super excited to start the year this way. And thank you, everyone who submitted their suggestions for topics. We really appreciate that. And today, we picked up one of the topics. So the person who suggested it will win this fabulous T-shirt. We'll ask them pink or blue. That's the only choice they get, pink or blue. And the topic, thank you very much, especially for submitting that topic. And the topic is super interesting, which is how boys and girls are treated or raised differently in Desi households. So that's our topic for today. I'll throw it up to Banita, if you want to start with the birth.
I think considering in 2 weeks or so, there's Lori coming, and which happens on January 13th. So that reminded me how, Lori is such a celebratory event. If you don't know what Lori is, it's when people sit around the fire, and it's end of that period of stagnation, winter, and we go into some warm, long days. But with that, aligning with our topic here, that it's when a male baby is born, when a boy is born, it's their first Lori. And it's celebrated with a lot of joy and happiness and songs and gifts and laddus and jalebis and mithaiya. But when a girl baby is born, Lori isn't necessarily celebrated in that same way, dedicated to that girl, whereas it is dedicated to the boy. Now, considering, times are changing, I think a lot of the families are celebrating girls' birth as well with Lori, but if we go into the intention of that celebration by its origin, I think mainly it has to do with the boy birth. So there's inherently the privilege that a boy has versus a girl baby has.
Are they really doing female Loris? I haven't seen any.
I have been to many parties.
But here?
Yeah.
Not in India? Or are they
I don't know about
India.
Yeah. I haven't been there for a while, but I know my experience here in California and United States. Definitely, I've been to huge parties where it's like the girls' Lori party.
We look for a reason to party here and get together. But I wonder if traditionally, and we would love to know, get some input from our viewers, if you are in India, are they doing Lori for girls, or have you been to a Lori party for girls?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I doubt it. I doubt it. I really, I haven't heard of any. So I'm glad to hear that there are some people that are celebrating, the daughter's birth just as much as the boy's birth. There really shouldn't be a difference. But as we know, there is always that, extra laddu. Asi laddu vanne jado kudi vi born hundi hai, but that extra bit that happens when there's a boy that's born. Even now, that still happens.
Yeah. The interesting thing is there is this project, like speaking of laddus, that's called the Pink Laddu Project that I think is based in UK, where what they do is they encourage families to give pink laddus when a girl is born and to celebrate the girl's birth. So the motivation behind that is to do something special for the girls.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of the celebrations tend to be, coming from that system of patriarchy. And Punjabi society is patriarchal, or at least started out with patriarch. A lot of what we do, how we speak, you can sense that patriarchy in there. Even the word, and it's not just Punjabi, it's even other societies. For example, when we say brotherhood, all of a sudden, where's all the sisters? Right. So I think those kinds of the vocabulary is built in. Even when we're celebrating, a lot of the songs that we're singing at these festivals, a lot of them have these hints of patriarchy or blatantly patriarchal. So that definitely exists in our language, in how we celebrate things. Even if it's a girls' party, we're still dancing to songs that are actually celebrating the boy's birth, because I don't know a song that says Veer Kar Kudi Jammi. You know, it's like veer kar munda jamya.
Put jamya.
Put jamya.
But
veer kar
here's the
put
thing, that's a
jamya.
double whammy. Veer kar.
And veer kar,
Put
not
jamya, not pan kar.
non-pan kar.
That's right.
It's so basically you have to have a brother who has a son in order to celebrate or sing that song. Imagine that. So if your sister's house, because that's then considered the other house. So
You're not really parting with the other house.
Yeah.
Sister's gone away.
This
Yeah.
is like braggy, right? Like this is supposed to be a very braggy thing to say. Well, first of all, I've got a brother. So mere veer de kar munda jamya.
yeah.
Right? So it's like brag from that perspective.
It is
right?
double
from
bragging.
that perspective. Yeah.
It's
bragging
showing
on
privilege.
bragging.
Yeah.
It's showing
Yeah.
privilege.
And even I don't know about you guys, but I remember, especially being in India when I was very young, that if some girl has multiple brothers, somehow she acted very privileged. It was like, oh, mere te char bra ne. Like, I'm like in the air. I am so like, main char bra man di ik bhai aa.
But they do that for boys too. They're like, sat pehna da ik pra.
No,
Either way, the
that's
privilege is-
considered like, he's way down.
No,
Yung
no, no, no,
pehna
no.
ne.
No, he's considered even very
more-
special being.
Yeah. So
Because
either way-
despite all the female that were coming,
Yeah.
here's this one special diamond that was born.
Yeah.
I would say depends on how you look at it. Like someone who's getting like marrying into that family, right? That guy may have a harder time getting a bride because it's going to be looked upon that he has 7 sisters.
Yeah, that
he's
could be.
way down.
No,
No,
but as
it's
long as
not.
he's the only brother. So they say the only son of so and so. That means all the property is going to go to him.
Yeah.
So he actually gets more bragged about as far as like the in-laws, because he's the only son of this whatever, this rich person.
All the girls
right?
are going to go. He's the only one.
only son, right? And
So
whereas
you hit a jackpot if you're
so
marrying him.
a girl might brag about having 4 brothers because now she has 4
Protectors.
right? And so she's privileged. And then you will always hear the society saying, oh, utte vichariyan 4 bhainan ne. Does anybody say, utte vichare 4 bra ne? Nobody.
No.
Right? So if you have, and I actually genuinely in our family, there are situations where there's no brother and it's multiple sisters. The whole family, you can feel that like sorry that everyone feels for them that they don't have a brother, and also for the parents that they don't have a son. It's inherent in us. We have to ask ourselves this question, like, do we still carry that in us? And I would say, if I
don't
was to be
think so.
very, very honest, yes. Because in the Indian society, the privilege that you get for having a son is still there. It's like a retirement policy. And the parents who don't have a son, because there's an expectation that once your daughter is married off, she's not really allowed to look back. She's not allowed to make a roti for you. She's not allowed to take you to doctor's appointments. I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about India. Here is different, thank God. But,
Yeah.
but
Here
in
we don't
India,
really go away.
we don't go away.
We don't go away.
We stay. But in India, you have to ask permission to visit your parents. So I would say, I would play devil's advocate and I would say, do you blame the parents for celebrating a son's birth?
No, because women, a girl child is like, they probably foresee life-lasting liability.
Yeah.
They see the female child as a liability.
Yeah. So
Because
there's no
a-
celebration.
Because it's not that they don't love the female child. It's just like her life is going to be hard and our life is going to be hard.
Because we have a female child.
It's the female child herself. Her life is going to be hard. So they're feeling sorry for themselves, but they're also feeling sorry for the baby.
Yeah.
Because her life is not going to be easy either.
So that's why there is no celebration. When you think about it, and when we say, oh yeah, now families are celebrating here. You know why they're celebrating here? Because girls aren't necessarily looked at as a liability.
Yeah.
But in India, they are. And that's why
And even in Pakistan, we shouldn't
when
just
we
say
say
India,
in
like
South Asia.
South Asia in general.
South Asia, Desi community.
This includes Pakistan. We do not want to leave Pakistan behind. And I don't know about Sri Lanka
I
or
think
Nepal.
so.
or-
I think in general, Desi community in general.
So speaking about births, this is a downer, but I think it bears mentioning. Now we know that in India, because of the reason the girl child is treated so badly, a lot of people when the technology came for ultrasound and finding sex of the baby early, like in 5th month or whatever, they looked at it like, oh, great. Now we can pick, like we can have a custom family with all boys,
we can
right?
be selective.
Yeah. So what they were doing previously were they were basically aborting girl child. And this was happening about 20 years ago. And I remember this myself, where one of our relatives, and I won't say no who, because this is such a sensitive subject, but I remember people being suspicious, like did they abort a child?
Yeah.
And there was this kind of like whispering or whatever, like there was potentially a pregnancy with the female child and they aborted it.
Yeah.
So, and that has stayed in me, and I heard it as a child. You know, I myself was a teenager when
And I
heard
wasn't
that.
even clear on what they were talking
Yeah,
about
because
necessarily.
it's so we didn't know.
We
all
didn't
this.
know,
We were
yes.
children.
Yeah.
But it's happened. We can't say it hasn't happened in our family. It has probably happened in every
In
family.
every family.
Somebody's probably done this. But you know, now they say, oh, so they outlawed that technology. Imagine the whole country cannot use that technology. So there's no gender reveal parties in India.
Well, they probably still do ultrasound. They just don't disclose the gender of the baby to the parents. How sad is that?
So that tells
That you can't trust the parents.
You know how we stop children from touching the outlet, even though we touch the outlet? I think about that there is such a fear that by letting them close to this technology, they will actually abort the female children. So there's this law, so it's outlawed. But regardless of that, recently I read in the news that in Uttarakhand, in one of the states of India, in 200 villages, so they have some statistics that they keep. So what they noticed is for 3 months, in 200 villages, there was no birth of a female child.
And how unnatural that is.
Yeah,
Like,
so
How is that possible?
the
yeah,
universe
so
is discriminating against females?
So there were over 150 male children born and in the span of 3 months and 0 female children. They still haven't gotten to the bottom of what has happened. The villagers, of course, say, this is a miracle, you know, it's from the gods. But of course, the authorities know that's not the case. So they're trying to figure out what is happening. And my guess is there's an underground
Absolutely.
clinic that people
Either
are
underground
going to.
clinic or there's just female infanticide and they're saying, oh, the child was born dead.
Stillborn.
Yeah, it was a stillborn birth.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, if I switch to something else, which, you know, despite all this about, you know, unfair treatment or views toward a female child, I was listening to somebody's TikTok kind of a video, and they're saying, isn't it interesting we say Masi da munda, Masi di kudi, Chache da munda, Chachi di kudi. So we never say Masar da munda or Masar di kudi. And we never say Chachi da munda or Chachi di kudi. So why is that? It's because Masi is related to your mother. So you're not going to go to the Masar.
Yeah.
And then Chacha is related to your father, so you're not going to mention the Chachi first.
Yeah.
So it's, interestingly, I think maybe some things that our language has developed, conditioned, is based on how close these individuals are to our family. I don't know how that connects to our topic necessarily, but I just thought like how there is some maternal aspect does play a part in our society. I think Punjabis do have that connection to the maternal side strongly also, and not just the paternal side. So I think there is some empowerment of female. And the point I'm trying to make is that even though, yes, we're saying in the songs, it's always about the boy, it's always about, there is, if you listen to the songs carefully, even if they are celebrating or putting this boy, this masculinity on pedestal, there's also resistance that's built in. So if you listen to some of the songs, the females are also coming back with some punchlines. And I can't think of a song right now.
So that's like all of Gidda.
All of Gidda.
All of Gidda is
like a
revolting,
punchline. Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like the
like an
females
underground
do have a
revolt.
voice, and whatever problems are happening in the society, they may be quiet The females might be quiet on day-to-day basis, but put them in that artistic place where they get to sing and express themselves. There's a lot of resistance and rebelliousness and protest that lives in those songs, you know.
But what about as the child grows? Now we talked about, you know, the issues with birth, right? So the girl child is dealing with this right from the start. Like you
Day
enter,
one.
like the first breath is people going, oh, wait.
That's the welcome they get. Like, oh, why are you here today?
Or they get the welcome that you're not going to be like our daughter. We're going to raise you like our son. You know, that's their way of raising her. But, you know, just embrace who she is.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is we talk about these birth rates and so on. India, as sexist as culturally it may be, but when you see all these religions, there are goddesses that are worshipped. And when you think of Lakshmi, right, the goddess of wealth is female.
Yeah.
And so, and of course in Sikhi, there's so many stories and there's never been a distinction between
male and female.
Female.
Even our names are unisex.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Good.
So there is this like cultural aspect of things that brings in that sort of sexism. And the unfortunate part is that from the first breath, it carries on how the child is raised. And a lot of girls just, they accept it, right? There's an acceptance of, oh, I'm a girl. I'm going to get treated differently. My brother is going to get treated differently. My brother is going to get different things given to him or different opportunities given to him. I'm a girl. That's okay, right?
You're conditioned to accept it.
You're conditioned to
Like
accept
status
it.
quo. It's a status quo.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about our own upbringing because we come from a family where girls were accepted. I mean, we never saw, most of us were born at home.
And most of our
homeborn.
family is girls.
Yeah, we happen to have a very female-centric family. We have vast amount of girl cousins, right? And we never felt we weren't welcomed or in any kind of danger. You know, I would say that. We never felt that. But there were, if we are to be very, very honest with ourselves and think about our own upbringing, which was probably more privileged than most girls, if I compare to when I talk to my friends and observe all that. But there were still micro kind of differences on how girls in the family were treated versus boys. And I think maybe to some degree we kind of chalked it up to, oh, we don't have that many boys in the family, so they seemed a little bit like less in population. But I think there are. I mean, did you ever notice anything like that? I mean, I'm trying to think of.
I can tell you an example.
Okay.
When I must have been about 6 years old or so. I was about 6 years old, and I remember this distinctly. My grandmother had made something special. I forgot, kheer, mitechol or something or other. And and I was told, I don't know, it wasn't her directly coming to me. Somebody else told me. And they're like, oh, you know, your brother and your cousin are invited to go have male cousin are invited to have this dish with grandma that she just made. And it's just for the boys. It's not for you. So you stay here. And I was okay with it. As a 6-year-old, I was like, oh, okay, I'm a girl. Okay, no big deal. I didn't understand why they were so special, but it was just, oh, they're boys, and so they're going to be given that extra little bit.
Yeah.
And I accepted it. As a 6-year-old, I didn't throw a fit.
You were already conditioned.
Yes. I didn't throw a fit and say, why not me, right? As a 6-year-old, if you want the dish, the candy, or whatever it is, you're going to throw a fit, right?
Yeah.
I did not. I was like, okay, yeah, moving on. And here's the thing. My grandma was great. She was a matriarch. She was opinionated. She was influential.
She was very powerful
listened to
woman.
her.
Yeah.
And she was very kind to her daughter-in-laws. She was very kind to all of us. But there were moments where even she did that thing, right? That thing because you don't even like know you're doing it, but it's just happening, and it's an accepted difference that you have between boys and girls as they're being raised. It's not even, maybe she didn't even consciously try to, differentiate, but she did. And that's the fascinating part, that she was actually very good to all of us otherwise.
Yeah, because when you think about it, for her to be good to all of us for that generation is still commendable, because that's the generation where, yeah, they would literally, and we've heard stories where they would take girls and put them in some kind of a panda, or like a, what is it called, like a surai type of thing, or gadwa, and they would bury them under the ground. That's like how people used to do to little puppies. I mean, both are bad, but like the fact that
They did that to little puppies?
yeah, that's a known thing, where in some cultures in olden days, when there were too many puppies, they would see that hurt you more than the girls.
No,
You didn't see
it's
Darrell's
not
in
hurt.
Corfu?
It's new information for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. No, that they did that.
If
so,
you see a show, Darrell's in Corfu,
Then
they
you'll
show
see
that.
it.
Yeah.
so
I need to watch more TV, in other words.
so you can know about a lot of cultures through TV. But yeah, that was done to girls. In fact, one of the I don't want to go into history, but there are a lot of historical figures. You know, there was a story that Maharaja Ranjit Singh's, I think, mother-in-law, that was almost done
His
to her,
mother.
and then she was taken out by one of her uncles
His
who felt
mother.
sorry.
His own mother.
Yeah, so she was taken out from the earth
Yeah.
by one of his uncles. And imagine if she wasn't, and if you want to think about it in a selfish way, if she had actually died, there would be no Maharaja Ranjit Singh and Sikh Raj.
And the
Her
interesting
mother or
thing-
mother-in-law?
His
I mean, sorry,
mother.
his mother.
His
Okay.
mother, I think. Yeah.
So, talking about grandmas, our Nani Ji told us a story that I think during Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time, and this is a story that relates to how it's kind of a double aspect in Punjabi. You know, you hear stories about females being victimized or not treated, or, you know, worse, like killed, right? But then there's stories about these females who resist, and everybody's okay with that. So my Nani Ji, which is our Nani Ji, she told us that I think her Nani's mother or whoever was there from her side during Maharaja Ranjit Singh's time, she said she was a little girl at that time, and she was playing, and Maharaja Ranjit Singh and his troop was passing by from the village. And she got her friends to start yelling like Kana Raja, right?
It's Babiji. It's her
No,
grandmother.
it's Nani Ji, because I heard it straight from
I
Nani
thought
Ji.
it was Bebiji when she was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Baby Ji wasn't alive at the time of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So no, it was Nani Ji's Nani, something like that. And Maharaja Ranjit Singh looked at them, and he would always say, give them some gifts. And then he said something like, well, that just means that I look at everybody equally with one eye, right? But here's these little girls who are, you know, mocking a king, an emperor of the land. So I think our culture is very complex that way. Like, on one hand, we treat girls like liability. On the other hand, we're okay if girls are singing of resistance or acting like resistance.
I think the unfortunate part is that I think in the old days, they probably had more independence than they do.
I think you might be
now.
right in that.
I the progress that you would think over time should have happened in raising girls and in strengthening girls has not happened. I think it's actually reversed. I think we grew up a lot more independent than some of the next generation. It makes me very sad when I hear, like, my nieces possibly telling me about some friend or somebody other that they may know who's experiencing, you know, their brother being treated one way and them being treated another way. It makes me very sad when I still hear that this is still happening. I would think that this day and age, living in the United States, this should not be happening within families. Girls should not be limited in what they can achieve. In terms of also their choices in life. That should be a non-issue at this point. And I cannot believe, and it makes me so angry, so upset that this is still the case out there.
It's widespread. And I've heard that firsthand from my daughter, because, you know, she's very social, so she has very many friends. And I've heard that from some friends themselves directly firsthand as well, where they are heartbroken about it. They grew up like that, and they grew up always feeling like second-class citizens in their own home, where their younger brothers So they're adults. Their younger brother is, let's say, 2-3 years younger than them. The younger brother doesn't get asked, where are you going? When are you coming back? And the girls literally have a leash on them where they are expected to return home by a certain time, tell the parents who are they going to be with, what time they're coming, ask for like permission with written in blood or something, where no, you have to go to your dad to get permission, and in some cases they are only allowed to go out if they're with their brother. So whether younger or older, that they have to be accompanied by a brother. That is very regressive as a society. If women, and we're talking about now adults, not teenagers even, but if adult women over the age of 21 are adult, that's
women
the law.
Over 18 are adults.
That's true. But if
In some
adult
cases.
women,
I think it depends on how mind.
But when you
also.
think about
Technically
it,
speaking,
fully
over
adult-
18, you are an adult. That legally
you are, yes.
But if I think about 21, that's when you get all your rights. You can drink, you can do whatever, right? So if you think about, like, we'll call it adult plus, okay? Fully adult females cannot go out without being accompanied by their younger brother.
An escort.
A liability, really, when you think about it. Then that is a problem as a society. And I'm not aware of that. We're talking basically about Desi community right now. I'm sure this exists a little bit outside of Desi community as well. But in Desi community, this is a very common practice, is what I'm told. I wasn't aware of it because we didn't grow up like that. At least our family didn't grow up like that. We weren't. I can't even remember
I
once
think
where
ours
we were
was more
expected
like
to.
if you're gonna stay out late, make sure there's a group of you. It wasn't necessarily like there has to be a guy with you.
Yeah.
It's make sure you're not by yourself.
By yourself, yeah, which is actually safety precautions.
right.
And that same thing probably went for our brother as well. I don't think he was given, at least in our household, he wasn't given any more freedom than we were. Although there were differences in other areas, but it wasn't about the trust and freedom. We did get as
It
girls.
wasn't about resources also. It wasn't like, oh, you can't go, you go get that education. And for the girls, you don't need to go get an education. You go pursue your dream. And the girls don't go pursue your dream because what's the point? You're just going to sit at home. Why do we
That's
want to
my
invest so
question.
much money into you?
That's my question though. Like when we hear things like that, where families might be saying, okay, son, you go pursue your dreams, and daughter, you're just going to get married, so don't. You're her vision is shown as very limited. Like your vision should be limited. So I haven't seen that personally, and so I have hard time guessing how prevalent is that issue even now. That's my question, because I don't have the statistics necessarily. So if you guys have those statistics, what is going on outside? Because like you were saying, our parents didn't do that. So how prevalent is it still an issue, or is it something that was thing of the past? Is my question.
I can speak about it. And unfortunately, I had firsthand experience with somebody justifying their behavior in that way. And this is, we have a huge family. When I say this is a family member, it's one of hundreds of people. Okay. So
one in every continent.
Yeah, one in
or 10 in every continent. Sorry.
many people. So it was a family member of ours that when I was visiting India kind of went and just spoke to me very, very practically, as if, of course, I understood. And that made me it rattled me, and said, oh, yeah. So my son, we're sent him for this advanced degree and everything. He's staying at a university, all of that. And he goes, the daughter? I just want her to finish like bachelor's. Like, she's not, even though she's super bright, she was actually brighter than her brother. I'm not expecting I don't want her to do any advanced degree, because that's gonna be for the patriarchal. She doesn't need, she's gonna get married.
So they're looking at it from an economic point of view.
But what surprised me is he said it to me in a way as if, of course you would agree with me. So that's what rattled me more, because it wasn't like he wasn't explaining to me why he's making those decisions and why I might not agree,
so that's
but try to convince
selfish,
me.
Because this is it's like an investment. Like if I invest in the son, it's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
If I invest in the daughter, it's going to benefit somebody else. So what's the use for me in here?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. That's why they don't allow the girls the resources. Like, what's the point?
what's
it's like
the
just
point?
you're flushing your money down the toilet because it's not going to
But I want to
benefit
know, like,
me.
how is it like still like a widespread kind of a practice? Because, or, you know, how widespread is it? Is my question. Maybe some audience can write to us and tell them their experiences.
It'd be good to know if anyone experienced that themselves firsthand or observed it in firsthand way.
And then we also see some of our relatives who's like, my daughter's going to go get a job abroad by herself. Go, you know, go live your life. So we have those examples too. But that's why I'm really confused. Like, how prevalent is this discrimination toward daughters?
I think there's a discrimination towards boys also, and let me explain why. The discrimination for boys, which boys don't understand, is they're literally being valued for the money that they can provide.
Yeah.
You are
for the
valued for
resources.
what you can bring to the table, and the man who cannot provide is not highly valued, and that's the unfortunate part, that shouldn't be the only choice and the only channel that they have. There should be more opportunities for men as well. I think unfortunately men don't even realize what's happening to them, that their choices are being limited as well.
They're being judged very harshly for their ability to bring money, and I wouldn't even call it provide. Bring wealth, because providing to me is the baseline. You know, can we eat today? Do we have food? We have shelter, but it's more than that. It's who's going to make us rich. So there is this monetary value being put on the boys, which is
that's why when you watch those Pakistani dramas, can I just share?
Can I just say one thing?
Okay, go ahead.
This is important to bring. Not only are the boys expected to provide, meaning go get jobs and, you know, be highly valuable employees and all of that, but how much, if they do that, if they're highly educated, they are expected to bring dowry to outweigh the amount of money that's been spent on their education too. So they are also being treated. Yeah, they're being treated
like pay the principal back that we invested on.
Go ahead.
No, there are a couple of points. So one is that there's this comedian, Danish Ali, and every now and then he has these little excerpts, and there's a really funny one of him. He has basically a cart, like a redi, right? And there's like 5 boys sitting on that redi. And he's going down the street and it's like, munde le lo, right? And the lady says, ye, you know, kaale kapde wala kaun hai? Oh, ye to pharmacist hai. Iski kitni behniyan? 4 behniyan. Nahi rehne do. They're like,
they're buying sabji.
Ye wala kitne ka hai? Oh, you know, he's the expensive one, but he doesn't have a mom. He doesn't have, you know, any in-laws, no burden on the daughter. And he does some defense ka kaam or something. And then they're like, yeah, depending on how much he makes, they don't care, like, you know, anything else about him except that how much money he makes, you know. And so it's making a mockery of the men's situation too,
exactly,
which is you're literally just valuing them based on the money that they make. But going back to that point that you're making about, again, you know, can they make you rich, not just provide? There's been a couple of Pakistani dramas on this topic where, you know, there's 2 brothers or 3 brothers, and the brother who makes the most is just coddled in the family. But the brother that makes less, or perceived to be making less, or perceived to be not as knowledgeable, he's mistreated. Then his daughter, his wife is mistreated and all of that. So ultimately, it's kind of sad that when you look at it, all of the value and all of this, from childhood, really, the reason men are considered special at the end of the day is economically, how are they going to support the family? Yeah. Right from childhood.
Yeah, and they can be sold. They could literally be sold for dowry. Like pretty much you are selling them. You're putting a price on their head.
And then we can look at this, how the systemic structure is too, because the reason I think parents are considering their kids as insurance, especially the son, is because there is no public support system. Their kids are it. So here, outside India, you have like if it's senior citizens or super senior citizens, you may qualify for at-home care. You may qualify for, the Social Security, or there's other benefits, which are not. I don't know the system that well. From what I remembered, I don't think any of that was there. So for an elderly person to sustain their long life, if they live long life or short life, however long, but especially if they're living until 90s or whatnot, there is no other system of support than their children. And that goes, especially their sons. And that goes for even like, let's say if your family has a special needs, one sibling is special needs for, whether it's a physical disability, mental condition, whatever it is, there is no social system set up to support that person either. So it falls on the siblings, and that would mean a son who might be earning more, or, so you need to have these people who bring wealth, because that's going to sustain lots of different aspects of that family, because there is no other system.
But when you think about it, and that's true, what you're saying is absolutely true. When you think about it, if we talk about the disparity between boys and girls, that stems from girls being the other.
Yeah.
The other. Because
absolutely,
you see no value in her because she belongs to another family. Right from birth. Yeah, right from birth, she's told, this is not your house. They want to make sure that's drilled into her head, even though the law says that she has full right over the parents' property, as an inheritance. But they want to make sure the girl doesn't claim. Right now, too, there's almost like this stigma against women who go and say, hey, it's my legal right. Who demand the legal right. Yeah. So girls, not only are they othered, they are shamed for even exercising their legal right. So that's a huge problem, because all that you mentioned, the problems in the community and the society, and as far as, okay, the son is the insurance policy or provider during old age, all of that stems
whether
from,
it's good or bad, but that is the situation, right?
All that stems from the way the society is structured, which is that a male child will stay and inherit and provide, and a female child just goes off to the la la land, never to be seen again. I say that, really, never to be seen again. The girl is only welcome during festivals, during weddings, in the family weddings.
Or if she herself is in good condition.
Yeah, if she's wealthy herself, she might be welcomed more. So,
or healthy.
So imagine that the household that you grew up in, you become a undesired guest a lot of times. There's a lot of jokes, and I've heard that within the Pakistani community, that a lot of the jokes are about Pua. Because Pua is why is she even here? Why is the Pua comes and she creates problems? She's just coming to her maternal home. She's being herself.
She was the princess of that house for a long time.
Now you've made her into a mockery,
or like undesired.
An undesired guest, because Pua kab jayegi? Oh, Pua aa gayi, problem aa gayi, kind of a thing. So in that same household, that as a girl that you grew up in, you're not welcomed back.
Yeah.
This is, it's really, when you think about it, it is the saddest situation for girls. Because and even if your household where your parents are, if they're not well-to-do, you can't help them anyway. You have to ask for permission to go there. You can't help take them to a doctor. So what use are you? It's the way the society is built. So I feel like it needs an overhaul. In my book, it needs an overhaul.
So for somebody who's living in the United States, they're in that situation where they've got, they're 21 years old. Their parents are definitely more resources to the boys, less resources to the girls, more opportunities for the boys, less opportunities for the girls, more independence. Buying cars, the boy gets like the nice car, she gets the leftover, the secondhand car, and I'm not exaggerating here. That does happen.
Oh, the boys get the Corvette.
The girls are going to share. They're going to be 3 to a room, and the boy is going to get his separate room, or 2 boys, and each boy gets the separate room. How do we start changing that? Like, how does somebody in that situation? How do they start making that change? And for me, I think it comes with it is okay to rebel. It is okay to rebel respectfully. Rebelling doesn't mean you, like the way they show it in movies where you're going from one extreme to another. Now you're going to be like,
run away.
I'm going to run away. I'm going to go get tattoos. I'm going to do some things that are, I'm going to go get drunk or go on drugs. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is it's you do have to start pushing. You do have to say, no, Mom, I'm going to be good. I don't need my brother to chaperone me. I'm going to be good. Here's my number. I've got a cell phone. You know where to reach me. Okay. And I'm going to go have some fun. You go enjoy your evening too, Mom. I think it's important to start pushing back. It's very easy because of under the guise of respect to start just giving in your independence to people, giving in that, going along with it. You don't have to accept that status. If something doesn't feel right, it's not right. You do have to kind of look for what makes you happy.
But I think that
little bit of pushing is good.
And that empowerment that you're talking about comes from being self-sufficient. So number one step is girls need to be self-sufficient. Get your education, get your job, have a career, business, whatever. But you need to be self-sufficient. Once you're self-sufficient, it doesn't matter where you are because you're not now beholden to anyone. You can make your own decisions. So I think the key thing here is if you're going to rebel in a way that leads to being self-sufficient.
The problem is, and I totally see your point. I think that's a very valid point for adult girls. But imagine a 12-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old. They're still living in that constant kind of a heaviness on them where they know that they're being treated differently. They know they're not being as celebrated as much as their brother is. So he's allowed to go out and play with the friends and you're not. You're expected to cook. I follow this online Instagram person who does a lot of recipes and cooks, and she always shares her stories about growing up. And she was expected to make sure the food was ready before her mom came home because her mom was a working mom. And her stories, now she's in probably our age, but her stories like literally will bring tears to your eyes because you're imagining now as an adult person, I'm imagining this 12, 13-year-old girl with the responsibility of cooking dinner. But that's not uncommon.
The
thing is, we want to think that's uncommon. It's not. I think there's a lot of households out there where once the mom starts working, let's say they migrate here from India or Pakistan and the mother has to work, all of that expectation, the fresh roti, the expectation of everyday cooking, fresh roti that we all have. Running the household, folding laundry, taking care of the siblings falls on the daughters. And if there's multiples of them, they can divide and conquer potentially. But like if it's just one daughter, she's now carrying on and being like that pseudo mom to the siblings and cook for the household, cleaner for the household.
We see that here, not just in Desi community. I've seen that in terms of, especially during COVID, we could see what was happening. That a lot of our kids, younger kids, from lower socioeconomics, their parents had to still go and work. And because they couldn't go to school, all these kids, who was in charge of all the siblings? All of a sudden, these 12-year-olds, the middle school 6th graders, 7th graders became instant moms. And they were taking care of their siblings. So I think that's also a phenomena of just any lower socioeconomic class family. But also the other additional phenomena is it falls on the girl rather than the boy.
Because if they
although I saw boys too, but I think in more cases than one, it's gonna be the girl. And we could see that because they're trying to get online, they're trying to do their class, but then they're going, okay, I need to help my 1st grade brother, or I need to help my 2nd grade brother. So these kids become instant parents because they're coming from working class families. No, that's just.
And even in the case of when we go to parties or you go to someone's house, guess who's in the kitchen?
All the girls.
It's a girl. And somehow I think we let's say we are a guest. If you're a guest, someone like me is a guest in a home, and there's my friend is in the kitchen. Her husband's out there with the boys, drinking or talking or whatever. Guess who's gonna go help her? I'm the guest, but I'm in the kitchen now.
Or doing dishes.
Yeah, because I feel empathy towards her because we obviously know the situation she's in. We're not gonna leave her alone. So we will go and start doing the dishes. We'll go and start like warming up the food, serving, setting up. Whereas the boys are boys. And I heard about this one situation where my daughter told me that they were celebrating, I think it was like a bachelor weekend kind of get together. And she goes, right when we get there, the boys are all sitting in the living room and like absolutely zero concern about the setup, the food, even putting the food in the fridge, doing anything. And the girls were all gathered up in the kitchen. And she, of course, being outspoken, she's like, who's going to be helping? We're going to all sit down. So now it's your turn. And I'm so proud of her for being like that. And I say all girls should be like that. There's no points to be won here, okay? At the end of the day, somebody's going to be tired. And, that's an equal opportunity that everyone should have worked hard. And then so that everyone gets a chance to relax a little bit.
So that's the thing. Like, I think that we don't call it out. We don't address it. And again, you don't have to call it out by beating your chest and, throwing a fit about it. You do have to tell people, and you do have to speak up about when you see something like that happening, like this phenomenon just naturally happening, right? You have to stop that sort of that system being set up. And I think another thing that we need to do as adults is if you see other people, other families sort of practicing this, it's important for us to go to the parent who may be closer to our age and say, hey, I think you should probably address your daughter's needs just as much as you're doing your son's needs.
Would you do that?
I don't think I would meddle in somebody else's business.
I would if I notice it. I would.
I mean, if it's clearly, if it's so blatant that you can't ignore it, then yes, I would. Like if I see somebody saying, "Beta, you sit here," and they go to their girl and says, "Can you go make rotis?" I would definitely say, hold on, I'm not sure, I'm confused, what's going on here, right? But if it's just I don't know, there's a difference.
It depends. Do I see it or do I not see it? Is it obvious or is it not obvious? If it's not obvious, I might not take it up. But if it's obvious, I will say something because I think, well, that's the thing. Yeah. I think it is our responsibility to say something to our friends who we like, but when we see things that are happening in their household, I think as a responsibility as women, we should maybe call it out in a nice way, have a conversation with them, and try to straighten things out.
Depends on your relationship with your friends, I think.
If they're your friends, then they're your friends.
No, I mean, how close are you?
But that's the thing.
Would they be receptive to hear that from you? Because I can see if it was a safety issue, I would be the first one in line to say something, right? But I think families have different values also, because I know that even I had a student long time ago, probably 20 years ago, actually 26 years ago exactly, whose parents spanked her, and she complained. She was writing in her journals, and as a teacher, we're mandated reporters, so we're not supposed to investigate the situation. We're supposed to just report. And I reported it, and the police officer came to talk to me about this, and he goes, yes, we don't do that. This is not something that we're going to necessarily do with our kids, but there's a value system that's different. And if the child isn't necessarily in danger, we're not going to take any step. I'm like, wait, but isn't it against the law, like to hit kids or whatnot? And he's like, no, there's culturally things can be different. So even police wouldn't step in because they said, culturally, things are going to be different. So I think every family...
This is where we need to correct the culture, though. That's what I'm saying.
But I'm bringing up a point here that I think you and I would be different in that sense, because I would be like, if it's not so bad that it's going to have long-lasting effects on this child or immediate danger, I might not say anything.
But it does. If she has to be chaperoned by a guy, she's hooked. She's always told she's less than.
Well, if she's told she's less than, I would say something.
No one has to tell you. But if your son is getting the nice car and you're getting the hand-me-down, then you know you're less than. Nobody needs to even say it. You know it. And you accept it because you're like, oh, but that's the son. Of course he's going to get the nice car. What kind of relationship is she going to have with our husband in the future? Is that going to be a healthy relationship? No, that's not going to be a healthy relationship.
I might say something to the girl herself rather than her parents, because obviously the parents' mind, we can't recondition. Some of these people can't be reconditioned.
But we should not be afraid to ruffle feathers.
Yeah, that's
well, that
for
goes
sure.
without saying. What are we doing here, right? We are ruffling feathers. I mean, I would say all three of us are okay with ruffling feathers. I think that's our middle name, and that's just
Maybe
how
that's
we
what
were.
we need to
That's how
call
we
shows.
kind of grew up. We grew up with that independence, thanks to our parents. That it was okay to ruffle feathers, but
because our mom was okay to ruffle feathers.
She ruffled a lot of feathers, right? So. It's just interesting. I think that question, what you guys were talking about, I love that there were two different perspectives, and there's no right or wrong, because I think either way, if someone is actually doing that to their daughter, your one conversation isn't going to change that. Unfortunately. But I like the fact that we're talking about it, and I think the win is has to come from empowering the girls themselves, because changing the culture, it's a long game, maybe generational.
But one conversation, then another conversation. They have a conversation with you. They have a conversation. What I'm saying is, yes, you're right. That one conversation with one person probably will not change their mind, but at least they're going to be embarrassed. They're going to be embarrassed.
Maybe. Hopefully it'll make them think.
They're going to be embarrassed. It might make them think.
Possibly.
And then the next person they talk to, the next person also points that out. More people point it out. It may not be. I think the community needs to call out that behavior. As a community, we need to be aware when we observe such behavior, we need to call it out. And so that's not just one person doing it one time. That's if everybody is doing it, that becomes a habit. Then it becomes, well, that's not an accepted practice. Why are you guys doing that? You know, once it starts getting frowned upon, they're going to be embarrassed. They are going to start realizing, and maybe,
but I
hopefully.
think, like you're saying, changing culture takes time. And they say the first step of bringing cultural shifts is change of vocabulary, how we talk about things. So like, instead of saying, you know, तुसी सानू अपनी कुड़ी दे दित्ती, or मैं तो अपनी बेटी दे दित्ती. Let's start changing the wording first. You know, that brings cultural shifts. You know, when we say, no, this is not okay to say that. You're not walking me down the aisle. You're not doing kanyadan.
You're not giving away your daughter.
I'm not a commodity that can be given away. And I know our mom said that. This sentence I learned actually from her. And I don't like to share my personal story, but at my own wedding, somebody said, oh, you know, somebody from my husband's family said, "Todi beti hun sadi ho gayi," right? Okay, it comes from a good place. But my mom, she wasn't afraid she spoke her mind. And she, in a very respectful way, not in a rude way, she said, "Main apni beti nahi ditti kisi nu." And I was like, and as a bride who's like sitting there,
you're like,
because I was starving, I'm trying to eat. I looked at my mom like, whoa, that sentence is going to stay with me my entire life because she's right. She's still my mom and I'm still her daughter, and nobody can take place of that relationship. I haven't been given away. I'm an adult, right? So I think if we start putting those kinds of concepts in kids' minds, you are not something that can be given away or taken away. You're not a commodity. You're not my insurance policy. I'm not depending on you for my, elderly years. I'm self-sufficient and you are going to be self-sufficient. And we just have a loving relationship. That's all. And I think that empowerment needs to happen. And I still remember that face of that person, like they had never heard that before from anyone before. I'm like, go mom, go.
Good for her.
Yeah, those kind of changes are so important. I think, I sometimes think if you want to solve a problem, go to the end and work your way backwards. I used to do that at my job a lot. And some of the most complicated problems can be solved this way. So instead of starting with why are girls, especially when they're born, they're not celebrated, let's go back and go all the way and walk through the life of a girl and say, what's the end result? That's the marriage, right? Then after that, she becomes a woman. But at marriage, why is she a liability? It's the dowry system. It's the arranged marriage system. It's just the property division, how it happens. A lot of times there's this mindset that I hear all the time where they say, oh, well, girls don't get part of the property because she's been given a dowry. Does she have her dowry?
Or, well, she's going to inherit whatever her husband's going to get from their family.
But from the father's property, and I'm saying father's property, that in itself is a problem. But let's say parents' property. A lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, but she's already got her part. That was the dowry. Unless that dowry is in her name and stays in her bank account, or the dowry is a house that's in her name, that is not for her.
Mm-hmm.
That is for the in-laws. It's been given away. Even if she gets a car, that's the husband's car, right? If she's been given a house, that's them together. What's been given to the sas, some jewelry and all of that, it's not for her. So stop being this false idea that dowry is for her. So if you think about it, that dowry, if we start from that and work our way backwards, the dowry that has to be given for a girl, it's interesting. I keep hearing it's outlawed by Indian law. Please tell me, if something's outlawed by Indian law, how is it being practiced so openly by everyone?
Because they don't call it, they'll just call it something different.
Yeah, but I would
if I get a fridge in my dowry in my next life's wedding sometime, I'm going to say it's my fridge and nobody else can put
their treats in there. No. But I would encourage Indian government to, when you say it's outlawed, do it for good. That means no gifts. There should be nothing given to the boy's family. You're already getting the girl. And secondly,
you're not getting the girl either.
The whole idea of girl changing houses and going to his house, why?
Yeah, why?
And this is actually a huge problem now that there's smaller families. There's 1 or 2 kids. So there's a lot of families with just girls now. And those parents, those mother and father, in their elder years, they're dependent on God knows who. They have no nothing to fall back on, because the daughters that they've raised have been given to other families. They have to ask for permission to see their parents.
Do you see in Pakistani dramas, they always say like, show her say, पूछ के जाना था or something.
कहाँ गई है?
And then they say like, नहीं मैंने पूछा था. Like it's a perfectly acceptable dialogue. And I always like wonder like, what's going on? So if I have to ask for permission to go
to the market,
to go visit my own sister, my own mom, what kind of life is that?
So it's not information. It's not like you're informing your family like, hey, I'm going to be out for the rest of the day.
No, you're asking for permission. And that's, you hear that dialogue a lot in Pakistani dramas. And I don't hear that so much in, Indian dramas are not good in general.
Indian dramas are mythological.
They have their own issues.
They're not,
they have their own issues. But, you have to be dressed up all day long in Indian drama.
Sleep with your
and then somebody might poison your food. I mean, that's just going to happen. So, but asking for permission of the shoher is a common dialogue I hear in Pakistani dramas. However much I love those dramas, that one sentence gets me like really in a bad place,
But that's the thing. That is like, if people start pushing back slowly on those things, I'm not going to comment on those dramas, whatever their cultural thing is. I'll leave it alone.
Desi. But it's a Desi community.
I'm going to say that
I don't want to leave it alone.
Whenever, I guess I don't want to leave. I want to leave it alone because I don't understand that culture fully, and I don't want to comment on it. However, I would say that.
I understand it. The girl doesn't have
permission to see her parents.
It starts with pushing back on anything that you feel does not bring you equality. And whatever that you're seeking, whatever that sort of, when you're giving in. And I don't know if you guys can think of an example when you just gave in and said, okay, well, I'll just go along with it. That's fine. Not a big
many
deal.
times,
right?
many times with many
I think
things.
that's just life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you compromise, sometimes you don't.
I want to go back to what you said, like, oh, that's their culture. I don't understand. I would say anything that doesn't, and this is my culture created by me, anything that doesn't give a woman equality, okay, where she doesn't have autonomy over her being, she doesn't have freedom to make decisions on her own as an adult person. I'm not talking about children. Adult person, I have a problem with it. And there's no culture, religion, anything that can justify, in my mind, that kind of
I don't know
constraints.
I don't fully understand where that's stemming from. And so that's why I'm not.
Punjabi
I'm not-
culture
I
or
don't know.
Indian.
Is it religious?
It's a Desi culture.
Is it from their religion? Some aspect that has gone too far that people are taking too literally?
I think it's cultural.
So that's why I don't want to comment on something that I don't fully understand. I know I wouldn't like it, and I don't know I don't like it. I hope people don't practice that, because it doesn't seem like something that's fair and appropriate, and just seems like a hurdle in anybody's life. If you have to ask for permission every time you have to go to the market to get lettuce or something, you're like, hey husband, can I go get lettuce? He's gonna be like, I got work to do. Like, what do you? So it seems like something that's exaggerated, but again, because it's a religion and cultural that I don't fully understand, I don't want to comment on it. However, normally, I don't think that that's right. Obviously,
And I think
not
my empowerment of like who I want to be, my self autonomy, comes from many people, and also definitely our way of life, which is Sikhi. So I remember, like we were talking about our grandmother. I remember every time I would touch a dish to wash back when I was a little girl, this left an impact on me. She's like, why are you washing the dishes? Right? If she ever saw me washing dishes, even if my mom was trying to train us in how to do a household chore, just for self knowledge, right? You should know how to take care of your own household stuff. If she would see me washing dishes, she's like, no, stop. This is not necessarily your job. And who knows why she was saying that to me. But I know she did not want to see me washing dishes. And that left a mark on me even now. So that's the importance of, how that one gesture of her or one thing of her that she had, this was her pet peeve, that I should not be doing dishes. I could be making rotis, but not dishes. And I think that kind of empowered me in a weird way. Like, why should I be doing the dishes, right? Why should I be doing this? Like, question, why are you doing this? And then I remember she told somebody, and this is when I was older, right? Some family who they wanted me to marry their son or whatnot. This is before I met my actual husband, right? And in India, they have this mediator between the families. And this was, again, cultural shock to me, because I just went there, I didn't know all this. He came and my grandmother sat him down, and it was just her and him and me, and nobody else was in the house, right? And she gave him some water, not even tea, water, because she could sense he was asking for dowry from his conversation, right? And he kept telling, like, they have cars, they have a big house, and this and that. And she got it, because she was an experienced woman, right? She gave him water, and then she said, you see where you're sitting right now? It's my castle. Mera mahal hai, right? And then she said, you see her? At Rajkumari hai.
That's sweet.
And then I was like, I literally felt like I was like a Rajkumari, and there's a queen sitting talking to some commoner, right? That's how she made him feel like a commoner, like you're nothing compared to us. So here's this elderly 80, 90-year-old woman telling this, this slick oil seller, whatever they call snake oil seller, trying to negotiate dowry. And she's like, you see the cup you're drinking water in? That's mine. This chair you're sitting in is mine. This house is a mahal. She is the Rajkumari. So now talk. What do you want to say? And the guy was like so embarrassed. I think he just left. And that gave me so much empowerment. So what mom said at the wedding, I haven't given my daughter away. Here's my grandmother who's 90-year-old saying, who are you? We're the royal queens here, right? What you say matters. So I think the shift starts with language. And then my dad saying, and my mom saying, and my grandmother, she would call me, you're going to be a doctor. That left some pressure on me. Like, okay, then I need to fulfill her wishes. This is a good kind of pressure. Dad one time said, so when are you doing your doctorate degree, right? What you hear leaves an imprint in your mind.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
So luckily I got the good more than the bad. Of course, there was bad too. But then luckily good overtook it. And I think it's really important that in girls and boys, regardless of the gender, that we're putting these messages in our kids' minds.
Even the nicknames that we give them.
Yes.
I'm sorry, like Chan Chan, Payal, Kumkum.
Yeah.
Those kind of names for girls also show that your value is just whatever we can see. It's not, I like the deeper names, go with Pooja and Sulakshana and something like, let's because words do matter. Words do matter. And speaking about those encouragement things, I remember Pabi ji, our grandmother used to say, "Tu meri hukma hasla wali thi." She always called me hukma instead of upma. Like she made up a name, hukma, right?
Yeah.
And that, as a child, that kind of stuff sticks to you, right? So it's and Nana ji calling me kanuno, like you're the rule maker of everybody because I always had rules. But it's those things, as those micro things matter, the micro negative things also leave an impression. Whether we can try to say, I don't think about that, I don't think about the negative stuff. Usually we do kind of push it back to the, back to our heart, back from our obvious, we don't want to have obvious impact for those things. But the little micro signs and micro messages our girls are getting growing up, and they do impact them negatively. If we want these great human beings with so much aspiration and success and all of that, even if you say my definition of my daughter's success is her being happy with her in-laws, even that requires her to have positive, in growing up years, this positive sense of self. So even if you think about in a traditional way success, the only way girls can get that is if you raise them to feel loved. So don't be afraid to love your daughters. Yeah, they are. If you want to say, I'm now being this devil's advocate and saying parayatan. If you think they're parayatan, you still have to have that tan. She still has to feel like valuable thing in order to give it away. You're giving someone your very valuable thing. She'll be taken care of better.
Then instill the value-ness.
Show them how much you love your daughter. If you want the in-laws to respect your daughter, if you don't want them coming back again and again, they should feel like you already have given them something very valuable, and that is your daughter.
They should feel that it's that your daughter in their family is their privilege.
Yes.
It's not her privilege that she got to be in your family. It's their privilege that you got to have her.
And all that matters. That also means that you don't make jokes about girls when everybody's sitting down. You show them, like you're saying, Pabji said, hey, this is my princess, right? That matters. Words matter. And what happens in our society right now, these girls grow up hearing these jokes made about their own moms.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of these wife and husband jokes that Indian society have that men seem to think are very funny. They're not funny.
Oh my gosh.
They're not
that
funny.
Sense of humor needs to go away because it's not funny at all.
Yeah. So it's, ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਜਸਟ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਇਆ ਵਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਾਈਫ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਪੈਸੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਵਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰਤੇ ਨੇ already or like these kind of like jokes like she's always spending money.
Yeah.
The funny thing is a lot of those guys who make those kind of jokes, the wife is earning more. If I hear a guy make that joke, I automatically take it as she's earning more. He has to make this joke in front of his friends to show that he's
It's a
he's the
facade.
superior. Yeah. What is this? Like, so girls, imagine that's the jokes your dad also makes.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that women these days are talking about this, that the value of the mom in the society, and this isn't just even in the Desi community, but in general, the value of the mother figure is always kind of like it's a source of something funny. Like, what is your mom doing now? Oh, she's in the kitchen. Like, she's devalued.
By whom? The husband or just
Even
in
the
general?
children, because the children also
everybody.
learn, the husband, the children, because children are just looking at the behavior.
They're
in the
getting
society.
influenced from the dad's behavior.
Yeah,
Or
I've heard
just
that.
everybody's, just in media, like the jokes that are out there. Everything shapes that behavior.
And if you want us to discuss a particular topic, leave a comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and you may just end up with a Pretend Samosa t-shirt.
I love
And
that.
we love compliments too. Tell us what we're doing well, so we know we can do more of that same thing.
What I love about this episode that we're doing, we are talking about something that someone wanted to hear more about. And I want to do more of that. So the topics that we're talking about, I would love to have more input on,